Hello, everybody. It's K Verde and Mommy Dream.
It's your cousin Juju.
And this is Ray Daniels, aka the Culture Referee, and this is the God Show on the Spotlight. And today, you know, as you guys know, if you watch the show, I will usually shout out our sponsors, and I always leave with 2 Laws. But today, we have the sponsor from 2 Laws here.
Indeed.
And I have my brother Dame Ritter from 2 Laws, and this is an Artist Spotlight episode. We're gonna talk and educate artists on how to win in this new distribution world. And I don't think there's anybody smarter that can have this conversation than you. And I ain't saying that because you're here. You know I wouldn't say that because you're here. This guy is really smart. I've seen him build businesses when building businesses wasn't even something that we talked about. I watched you build artists. I had an artist on team.
Yes, sir.
Jaron Benton, and I watched you build artists in a way where I didn't know how to do it. So I always thought you were smart, and I'm just happy that we have a chance to do business together and you're on the show. So let's welcome Dame Ritter one more time.
Appreciate it.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna ask you a question so I told Dame, by the way, I'm gonna ask him questions we're not in the music business. Because I feel like a lot of artists are sitting at home lost, and I don't wanna have a conversation above people's heads.
Yep.
Right? So even though we can, I don't want to. Right?
Yep.
So my first question I'm gonna ask is, why 2 Laws over anybody else?
Well, I would say first and foremost, no distributor is going to save you, right? Like if you're looking to, if you think a distributor is going to solve all your problems, it's not,
okay.
Right? However, there definitely are some differences from distributor to distributor. I would say some of the key highlights on our platform is, one, we distribute to more stores than any other distributor, right? So obviously,
how do you know that?
Just because we know what we, because
okay.
Here's how we know that. Other distributors come to us to do a sub delivery, right?
Oh, wow.
We distribute to over 400 stores, and obviously you have your main Spotify, Apple Music, but there's a lot of stores, in different parts of the country where Spotify may not be the biggest, right? So sometimes artists move their catalogs over and they notice that they're making a little bit more money just because we're delivering to more stores, and we're constantly adding new partnerships, whether it's Peloton or Delta or other places where you're not even thinking that your music could potentially be. So that's one thing. Another thing is I just love the platform and that it's constantly evolving. I know that a lot of distributors, once they get to a certain size, some of the innovation stops, right? I feel like we're constantly thinking about tools, features, things that we can embed within the platform to enhance and just give artists a bigger suite of tools to develop their business. So we have BeatBread integrated within the platform. So if you're looking for an advance and you have,
I'm on the board over there.
So if you're looking for an advance and you need some additional funding, instead of going to sign a deal, you can have alternative financing options. Cosign is integrated within the platform. So if you need to copyright your music, you could do it within the platform. So we're basically trying to build almost the Google of music distribution, so that you have all tools and services within the platform, and it's easy, and it's a lot cheaper than other distributors too. So you have it's only $3 a month.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And you guys don't take.
We don't take any money, and then when you have some traction, we do have in-house label services, that's constantly pitching artists' music to get editorial placements, to get Spotify homepage takeovers, to get TikTok ad credits. So I think 2 Laws is a great place for any artist from 0. If you're looking at it from 0 to 10, 10 being Drake, I would say 2 Laws is a great option for anybody from 0 to maybe 7.5, right? Because after that, I think that's in your world, right? That's your world where you're dealing with the majors and things like that. But I feel like it's a great option. And 0 to 7.5 is probably 99.9% of artists.
By the way, that 0 to 7.5 is the entire industry, excluding probably about 20 artists.
Indeed, yep, exactly. So, but like I said, if you're looking for a savior, a manager's not going to save you. A distributor's not going to save you. If you're not doing the work yourself, starting to build some momentum, we're here to complement what you're doing and to make certain parts of building your business a little easier.
Got you.
So if I was an artist, how would you help me put my record out?
So the distributor just kind of gets your music out to Spotify, Apple Music, things like that. It's on you to kind of come up with the strategy in terms of how your cadence of releases, your brand, things like that.
So what if I didn't know nothing about the Spotify, and I'm just the artist trying to display my music?
So if you're an artist that's never released music before, then you would come to us, and that's how you get your music on these platforms. In the 400 plus stores that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, you would just use our service. It's pretty. I mean, if you use anything else, like just signing up, the process is pretty easy in terms of understanding what to do. It kind of handholds you through the process, uploading your artwork, entering the metadata, things like that.
Let me ask you something. So what, I know this is probably a big question, but I'm just curious. What is the why for Too Lost? Because your business model seems to put creatives first.
Yeah.
Like you guys are taking, most distributors take something on the back end, the sexy ones, right?
Yeah.
And I consider Too Lost a sexy distributor.
Yeah.
To be honest, right? I don't put you guys in the same sentence as Distro Kid or TuneCore, right? You sign with them, you don't expect shit. Kind of like just drop your song up and left. You know what I mean? Like, I've been to the office. You guys have a staff. You guys have marketing. You have things that I've seen.
Yeah.
So, what is the why, and why did you guys choose that business model? Because there's only one other company that has that business model.
Right. So are you asking like how we make money?
No. Why'd you choose that model? I know how you make money, but you could make way more money if you chose a different model. That's what I'm asking. Why that model? Why $3 a month and you get all of it? Why do you guys collect YouTube royalties?
Right.
And don't charge?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is to serve the creators. Like, there's way more creators now than ever before, right? So I think building a platform that's easy to understand, that doesn't cost that much, just make things easier. The hard job is on trying to build an audience and trying to market and promote. That, again, that's on y'all, right? So if we can make the other stuff easier, we would think more people would want to make Too Lost their home as opposed to other distributors.
Why Too Lost? What's the name? What's the significance of the name?
I asked that question before, and I'll be honest, I don't remember the answer. However, I like the name. Like, I like.
Sound like music.
And I think that I think that was part of it, so that we could potentially get into other things, whether that's podcasting or some type of video distribution, things like that. I think it kind of leaves the door open. For me, I know that. A lot of artists are lost. Yeah. Most artists are lost.
That's what I thought it came from. Like,
it makes sense.
Come find us.
Like, so it
was like your bat signal. Like, if you're too lost, come see us. And
so it does make sense, because most of the artists I talk to are kind of lost, right? So
95% of talent in the world is lost.
Yeah. So I just started Too Lost Office Hours. It's something that I host on a weekly basis every Monday at 12. And you don't even need to use Too Lost to tap in, but I'm gonna have a guest every week, and it's an opportunity just to learn different aspects of the business. I had my guy Kayvon join us this past Monday. He's from Genius, and we just talked about the business. So every Monday, whether you use Too Lost or not, you can tap into these sessions and just learn, because again, it's so important that you get educated on the industry that you say you want a career in.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of artists don't want to learn the business.
Yeah.
They just kind of want to put music out and be loved. So now I know you do Too Lost, but I also know you from Hobson and that business that you built. Yeah. You were able to figure out the community, to activate the super fans before that was even something we spoke about. Yeah. This is 10, 11. This was Slow as a lot. Slow died 2013, so this had to be 2013 at least. Yeah, yeah. Like, if I'm an artist and I'm trying to figure out how to talk to, I don't even know that I need a community. What advice would you give if I'm an artist? I don't even know I need a community. I just think I want to be the biggest global superstar in the world, and I'm gonna put a song out that's gonna blow up. Tell me what I should do.
Well, I think that one, you just have to understand that there's a shitload of people trying to do the same thing, right? So you need to think about, like, what is your messaging? What is your story? What's going to be a little bit different about the lane that you're trying to carve out? And I think that's what sometimes artists don't spend some time thinking like they can rap good, but it's like, oh, he just be rapping, you know, or just be singing. Like there has to be some kind of reason why people are going to tap into and love what you do. So I think that's kind of the first part, because a lot of people just rush out and just start putting out music, right? And there's really no story there. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing interesting.
That's what I'm asking you. So, like, you have a new artist. Dream is your new artist.
Yeah.
Dream is, she says she's a Cape Verdean mommy.
Okay.
How are we gonna blow her up?
So
what
I
would you do?
So
I want y'all to see, like, he's smart. Like I want.
We would just talk about like what it is. What else do you want people to know about you, right? Like, what is your music about, right? Is your music about relationships, right? What other content can we start creating that tells that story, right? Maybe you start giving relationship advice on Thursday nights, right? So we doing relationship advice. You playing your song in the background. You know, eventually you might say something that goes viral, and then there's a little bit of highlights to your music. But you're doing that consistently so that it's not just music, right? You're not just, you know, because sometimes the creativity doesn't happen on a weekly basis, or you don't want to put out a song every week, but you have something out there that's starting to build this world that tells your story, right? And then you might start having guests on your relationship podcast, and then you might blow up, and you might, you know, meet an artist that wants to come on the podcast, and then you collaborate with them and release a collaborative song. So there's so many ways to just think about content these days, but it really comes back to understanding like your story, your brand, and like what is that you're trying to communicate, and it's going to be interesting that people will listen to your stuff as opposed to the billion other people that have a podcast or music these days.
Okay, so what advice would you give to content creators to stay ahead of the game?
So I think everybody says this, but it's true. It's about the consistency. Right.
Is key for sure.
A lot of creators, they think consistency is like 2 months. Right, 3 months.
Definitely.
Right.
I'm not going to go by. That's the most powerful shit you said today.
Yeah,
Drill down on that.
You know, you have to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the idea is dope, but it's just not tweaked the right way, right? The intro sucks, so you have to build on that idea and stay with it, right? So I manage Big Ja, who's a comedian. And he's constantly dropping sketches, but we also have the Blackbusters podcast, which is a podcast that celebrates black cinema. Right?
I want to be on that.
I know we have something special. So is it we're not cutting the clips the right way to highlight the episodes? Is it something that we're doing from the graphics perspective? Is it the way we're formatting the show? We're probably 80 episodes in, so 80 weeks we've been dropping every single week. And we're not going to stop because we know we have something, because there's nothing else out there like that. There's nobody else that's celebrating black cinema. Who's reviewing Boomerang and bringing back some of these classics? Because we don't get these, just like some would argue it's kind of like music. Like, we're not getting the same quality of films these days. The film industry is a bit different, and that's probably a whole separate podcast. But my point is, we have to stick with this because we know we have something, and we just have to figure out how to position it. We need to get bigger guests. You know, is there a certain segment that we need? So we got ideas, and I'm excited to kind of figure out like this Rubik's Cube. Yeah. But we got something, and hopefully you guys will be more familiar with the Blackbusters podcast in the coming months, for sure.
By the way, I would love to be on that.
With 2 Lost, is it a tier system after you pay? So if I paid for the first 3 months, if I pay for the first month, pay $3, and then I have a song that starts taking off, is it a tier system where I get the a la carte label services, or how does that work?
No, so label services is available to everybody, but obviously that's not scalable. We have priority artists, you know, artists that have a little traction for sure. So it's not, you don't pay a little more. It's just artists because when we're pitching to Spotify, Apple Music, like there needs to be something there, like in order to start getting picked up and getting opportunities like that. So, you know, the ones that see more success are the ones that have more traction.
Digital marketing as well in that label service?
With some of our priority clients, because we have deals with, so some of the artists that we work with, we have deals with, so maybe they might have taken in advance, or so there's a closer relationship. They have a they have a product manager that they speak to, you know,
wow,
when they need.
You got product manager, dope.
Yeah, so you know, there definitely is a higher level of service with artists that we either have a deal with or artists that are more established, because we're starting to bring over bigger artists, especially artists that have kind of gotten out of their major label deal and they're looking for support still. So yeah, yep.
So which era would you think would be the best? Was the best for artists, for independent artists? Would it be MySpace, blog era, SoundCloud, or TikTok?
Oh yeah, so I posed this question. I posed this question, you know, because I just wanted to know, just better understand, like where artists would prefer, what era artists would prefer to be in to promote their music. So essentially, it's like what was the easiest era to promote their music, and I looked at it like either MySpace, and then we went into the blog era, then SoundCloud, and then TikTok. For us, for me personally, I felt it was the blog era.
I was about to say the blog era.
But because it took a while for us to get covered by blogs.
Yeah.
Like everybody's gonna say the blog era because they assume that their music would be supported by blogs.
No, the blog era to me was it because all you needed was one blog to shine a light on you and pandemonium happened around you.
Right. But if you didn't get that,
Yeah.
so it was in less of your control. But I only said that because that was the time where Facebook was popping, and that's how we grew our label, kind of on Facebook, because the algorithm was less restrictive, and we built a huge community on Facebook. I had an internet street team. We used Facebook groups, and we had like Funk Volume Los Angeles, Funk Volume Chicago, Funk Volume, and I designated our super fan to manage each of these groups. So as soon as we put out content, I would just email our street team leaders, and then they would post it in their respective groups, and we would get stuff popping on Facebook. So eventually the blogs took notice to what we were doing because our numbers started climbing, but they weren't rocking with us either in the beginning. But so I only said the blog era because that was the time period where Facebook was, you know, it was a lot more conducive to what we were doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but my thing is that, so it feels like today's market, I would say today's market is the easiest with no cosign, right? Because the blog era, you still needed a cosign.
Yeah.
You still needed someone at that blog to fuck with you and go hard for you.
Yeah.
But if you look today, the only thing you have to do to win the day, and it sounds so simple, but it's the hardest thing, is stay consistent.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, I'm like, imagine you have this huge wall, and you have to knock this huge wall down, and you have a hammer this big. Right? That's kind of like how you gotta look at artists.
Yeah.
If you take that hammer and you hit all over the wall, you ain't gonna never break it down. It's like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Get a little hammer that big, and you just hit at that one spot. And I keep telling people that's what content is. That's what consistency is. Consistency is hitting the same spot over and over and over again until you put a dent, and then you start building around that hole, and then next thing you know, you got a hole big enough that you can put your hand in it and you can rip things out.
Yeah.
But if you take that little hammer, and most artists are just knocking.
Yeah.
What's working? And it's like,
Right.
nah, knock on it. Pick a spot, hit that motherfucker for 3. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
Just hit that motherfucker. Like, just hit it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see a dent. And then you can do it. And that's what I think people are not understanding about today's industry. The problem with music is that artists have this instant gratification feeling where it's like, I made a song, now the world should love me. I just performed, now the world should love me. I put out a piece of content, why is the world not finding me? And you can't think like that. Every piece of content is an opportunity to tell a story about where you are today. Or it might be a story about where you once was. Or it might be a story about where you're trying to go. It's like I have my a gospel member, Kathy, here, and I told her, I said, she was telling me all the stuff she's doing, and she's in Atlanta, and she's like, I'm just here I'm like, everything you're doing, you should record it.
Yeah.
Because you have people, I don't care if you got 100 followers, show those 100 people what you're doing.
Yeah.
Inspire them, because I always tell people, if you can't inspire 100 people, you ain't gonna be able to inspire 1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. But then I would also like think about your infrastructure and like where, you know, once you start getting this attention, how are you capturing this, and how are you kind of building out your community? How are you continuing to speak to the people that, the message resonated well. All right, it's not just attention just for attention, but how do you direct this attention so that it could eventually be monetized, right? And you can provide a different experience for like the super fans that really love what you're doing, right? So you have a way to take people that just found out about you, convert them into fans, and hopefully into a super fan. And do you have an infrastructure that can do that, right? And now is an amazing time to be a creator. Yeah, you're competing with a lot of other creators, but at the same time, we have so many tools and resources to be able to monetize. And I know it's hard. It's not easy. No. But I think today is an amazing time to be a creator.
And sure. I told people, I said, I think if we, the reason why I like distribution, because distributions, whether it's Two Laws, Track, whoever. Distribution, the artists understand it's a partnership. They know it's a partnership. I love that you set it up. Look, we're just a tool for you to use. We're gonna help you, but you're gonna have to do the work.
Yeah.
I said that if record labels, instead of saying we signed that artist, they should say we partner with that artist. Because you really need the artist to have the mentality that I am a partner. Because when they think they got signed, they think they're your child. Now it's like, man, that's my daddy now, man. What we doing, daddy? It's like, nah, you a grown-ass man in my house.
Yeah.
You just got a room in my house. You are not my son. You are, not for real, you are a roommate. So now you look at it differently. Now, you treat it differently. So, I like that you said that, but I also think that majors need to start having that same mentality. Because my only problem with majors is that they're not honest the way you are.
Right.
They sell dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do everything for you, and then you basically have fucked this artist up.
Yeah, it's like signing to a major has always been like getting drafted in baseball. Like you go to the minor leagues first, and that's when like the real work starts.
Yep.
Right. So if you know about the baseball system, like you go to rookie ball, you go single A, double A, triple A. A lot of these cats never make it to a majors. Right,
they're making a good career though. They still get paid six figures a year.
But it's tough though. But it's a tough road. But I think a lot of artists think once they get signed, like you said, it's kind of you're going to be handheld to success, as opposed to like they're signing a lot of acts. Yeah. Now you competing for priority.
They're staking their bets too.
Yeah.
They're staking their bet. You don't know you a bet because they don't tell you.
Nah, for sure.
They don't tell you we gonna do it all. We gonna blow you up. We gonna do this. You don't know you just a bet on it. You just another bet they put on the table.
I mean, when I got into 2008, I came from the corporate world, so I knew nothing about music at all. Right, so I didn't. We kind of learned, and I didn't have anybody to turn to at the time. The only artist that I knew was a friend of a friend named Propaganda, and he was doing this thing in the Christian hip hop space, so I learned a lot from him, but I didn't have no mentors or anything. So that was kind of good and bad in the sense that like, we're looking at it from a fresh perspective. We're kind of looking at it. So the things that didn't make sense, we were just like, all right, we're not gonna do it that way. That don't make sense, right? So just learning how the majors operated, it was interesting to understand. We eventually did a label services deal with Warner, but we never, they never owned like our masters or anything like that. But there's a lot of ways to make it in music these days. I don't knock that route if that's the way you want to go. I just hope you got somebody like Ray to kind of guide you through the process. Because
they don't want my guidance.
Because
I'm being honest, because my guidance is honest. My guidance is not like, my guidance is not like, Ray, what are we gonna do next? Big. Ray, what's the next move? We're gonna go bigger. It's like, no, the next move is you have to go do this for that person because that person is important to that, and you need to have a relationship with that person. Like, I'm big on like establishing relationships and not making every relationship have to feel transactional.
Yeah.
If a relationship is transactional, now I'm looking at you like, well, shit, I know what I'm giving. Now, what the fuck are you giving? Right. But if it's just a bond, I never kept count for if you showed up for me or if I showed up for you because we friends.
Right.
But if it's meant on some transaction shit, I gotta start looking at the transactions.
Yeah.
What am I doing compared to what they're doing? And I think a lot of artists don't understand that they're running a marathon.
Yeah.
And everybody's treating life like a sprint, but they don't know they're running a marathon.
Yeah.
And here's why that's very important. Because after about 150 yards, you're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
If you're sprinting, and then you realize the people that you was all the way ahead of is just slowly past you because they understand they're running a marathon. They're pacing themselves. Meanwhile, you are, and that's what I mean when I'm talking about like money. Like an artist would be like, my budget is $5,000. I'm like, spend that $5,000 $100 a week.
Yep.
Don't They be so wanted so bad, they'll spend that 5,000 in 30 days, nothing worked. Now they're like, I got fucked. It's like, well, you wanted it so bad. Now go get another 5,000 and take your bet slower. Mm-hmm. It's humbling, by the way. It's really humbling, but it's the only way to get to the next level. Yeah.
I remember this was kind of early days, and I won't name the artist's name, but like he had great momentum as an independent artist, and he got signed, and I was talking to him. He was like, well, I'm young enough so that if it doesn't work out, like, I could just start over again independently. But momentum don't really work like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like once you got momentum, it's hard to get it back if it stops, right?
And what people don't understand is that momentum is usually on the back end is where you win, right? Like I have a statement, I always say, I'm like, if you take a penny and you double it 30 times, you ever heard this before?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you, if you take one penny and you double it 30 times the entire month of January. So January 1st you have a penny, January 2nd you have 2, January 3rd you have 4 pennies, you have 4, January 4th you have 8 pennies. So on and so on. By the time you get to January 30th, how much money do you have?
It's a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money. I can't.
Guess. It's no right or wrong answer. It's a guess.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So you're 200,000.
Let's go with $500,000.
It's 5.3 million.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I knew it was a lot.
But here's the thing: if you stop on 15, it's $157.
Yeah.
So somebody can go halfway and get 157, thinking that, man, I ain't made up but 157, not knowing that all this work is just compounding on top of each other. So by the time you get to 30, you at millions.
Yeah.
People want to wake up and get $1 million tomorrow.
Right.
Nah, it don't work like that. You got to wake up. And by the way, it does for some people. I'm not gonna lie, like some people didn't wake up and make $1 million, but that usually is their last million because they thought it came easy. They thought it was gonna be sweet. They spent it like it was sweet, and now they have $1 million lifestyle with no $1 million coming in.
But it's unfortunate because a lot of people will look to that example and like use that as the norm or to aspire to, but it's rare. Like it's rare that those things happen. So yeah, I mean, we've been in this for a long time. You kind of see the same mistakes over and over and over.
So let me ask you, give me the top 3 mistakes that you see artists make, up and coming artists. This for you too, Juju, because you do this.
Let's go back and forth so I can have some time to think about in between.
I'll do it with y'all. You want me to go first? I don't mind going first.
I can go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just not surrounding themselves with the right people.
Okay.
Like the team. It's important to have a solid team. Some people, it takes a while to build that team or to meet the right people. But I've seen artists, just surround themselves with a lot of yes men. They're not really there to pour into them to grow the business. Folks just around, just to be around.
So that's your first one.
Yeah.
Juju, mistake.
Music being the life of the artist.
Music meaning
like their whole life is surrounded by music. You don't know.
They think they're only selling music.
Yeah.
That's a big. I ain't gonna lie. That's it. My first one I would say is they think because they have talent, God-given talent, that the world has to watch them. Right. That would be my first one. I think a lot of artists make the mistake of thinking just because you can sing means that everybody needs to give you and reward you for that's God-given talent. It's a whole lot of work you got to make to be a professional singer that makes money.
Yeah.
So that would be my first one.
Let's see. Not learning the business, expecting other people to learn for you. It's crucial that you understand the business. And I always say this, but it's not just to make the right decisions for your career, but it's also so that you can understand the value of the team that you put around and you put the right people around, right? Because there's a huge difference between managers, right? There's good managers, bad managers, just like
there's managers that understand touring, there's managers that understand the business, have the relationship, there's managers that understand publishing.
Yeah.
It's rare to find one that understands it all.
Yeah.
But that's okay because like Tory Lanez, for example, his managers were concert promoters. That's why he built his career on the road.
Yeah.
Because that's what they knew. And then he signed to Interscope, and Interscope gave him the hits, and then they have a superstar. But the managers knew their superpower. Yeah.
So it's important to know like what your end goal is to see if I'm a better fit or if Ray's a better fit. I mean, I'm in a position now. don't look for artists to manage at all. Like, so I'm kind of exactly. But it's unfortunate that most like solid managers I know are trying to leave or have left. And I think part of that is artists aren't learning the business. So that's why my second one has to be, you got to educate yourself about the business for sure.
Maintaining relationships.
They don't maintain relationships.
They just don't think that it's important. Like they don't. When they meet certain people, when they meet people in general, they just, this wasn't that important of a conversation. But then months later, you need that relationship. So
I'm gonna give you another one. Another big mistake artists make is that they reach up rather than reaching to the left or the right. Every artist wants to work with an artist bigger than them. Not knowing that those bigger artists want to work with artists bigger than them. Or they get to a certain place where they're so big that they only want to work with their people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like everybody's artists be acting like, I want Future on the record. Future don't want to be on the record with you though. Future's building his business. Future's one of the most successful artists in the world. Why would he want to do a song for you? The little $200K you're gonna pay him is probably nothing to him. It's probably cost him that much to leave the house at this point. Instead of saying I want to do a record with people that's on my side, and I historically can make the argument. Mood with Ian Dior and Golden, 24K Golden, that was a hit. 2 new people. Lola Brooke had the other young lady on her record. 2 new people. You rarely see an artist of a higher stature jump on an artist for a younger stature record in the beginning and it worked. Cardi B did jump on, put it on the floor, but it was already a hit. Lotto made it a hit by herself. So I feel like artists always want to work with someone bigger but they don't have the understanding to know that this guy's going to be bigger. And we're going to be big together. And when we big together, we're going to be the giants together that's blocking each other off. All my friends now that I started with as interns are either in the president position or EVP or CEO or have been the CEO and it's like, I'm about to go build my own shit, right? Because I don't know nobody that's seeing director of A&R. I mean, I know them, but we didn't come up together. They look at me as a mentor, and I do mentor them. But I see so many artists trying to figure out how to reach up. I'm like, fuck reaching up, reach over. Lock in, be stronger. That's a bigger pillar. Then step up on top of that and another bigger pillar. That's the thing I would say.
No, artists have to learn to be great A&R. I say this a lot too. Like, not just in the sense of like developing your music, but can you identify the next up-and-coming graphic designer, the next up-and-coming videographer, the up-and-coming producers, and so that you can invest into them and like you said, grow together and grow that super team that will eventually be the Avengers, right?
What's your third one?
So I will do too many excuses. Like you can't like there's just too many excuses. Like you're making way too many excuses. Like there's nothing that I've ever heard that's like, oh, you're right, that's why you're losing and it's not your fault. Like we just have the ability to do so much stuff on our own these days and build platforms, and I see people that are building platforms from nothing. Like they didn't have them, all they had was their phone, right? And they're building a community.
That's how we did. I'm literally the only reason why I built all of this was to show artists it's not hard. And
you got a really dope operation. It don't need to start like this.
But it is. No. You can ask this. It started in that room with a mic that wasn't even plugged up.
Okay.
And then it started in that room. And then once we got the hang of it, they was like, Ray, we should get a set. And I'm like, how much is it going? And we need equipment. How much is it? It's going to be about 20-some thousand. Man, let's just keep this shit going like it is, and let me just make sure y'all can handle it. Cause I don't mind spending the money, but y'all are telling me what y'all need. My information, I can do this shit for my car. So if I'm gonna do a set, y'all niggas better make this shit look good. But
but be willing to start from the car. Like that's where you gotta start.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like when we started Funk Volume, it took a while to get some traction. In early days, like the live, we were doing all types of stuff just to interact and engage with our fans. So I think, what was it called? It was called Ustream. We use Ustream to go live with our fans. We use Livestream to go live with our fans. Interacting in every kind of way, responding to every comment.
You got it. It's the hard part now. Well, I'm gonna let you go, Juju. What's your third one?
Being resourceful.
Okay.
I think artists just waste resources. Like they think if they are signed to a major, they have a budget and they just run through the budget, not realizing because it's not their money they're spending, but it's really their money they're spending.
Not understanding how that was how it gets recruited. They don't understand recruitment math. Again, going back to the education. So that's a great one for sure.
My third one. Hold on. I just Juju, when you talking, I just had it. I got it. My third one is artists forget that they are the product. They buy into the hype. It's like an artist to me is no different than this sweatshirt. We made the sweatshirt. Now we're gonna go tell the world that this sweatshirt is dope. And if they start buying it, we're gonna make a lot of money from the sweatshirt. I get that, right? Cool. You are the sweatshirt. And you be thinking you're human. I'm just a human. Why can't I be this? And it's like, bro, you're not human. Drake is not human.
Right.
Taylor Swift is not human. They are a brand. When Taylor Swift goes anywhere, there's a camera on her. She could be at her boyfriend's football game. They got a Taylor Swift camera now. She is always Taylor. And she understands she's the business. And I think most artists' mistake they make is they think that they're just talent and the business is supposed to reward them. No, baby, you are the business. And if you're not treating it like you are the business, then you're gonna lose, because all that's gonna happen is that people are gonna be expecting you to do business things. You're gonna be like, I don't feel like doing that. Why I gotta do that? Because you are the business. What up, everybody? This is Ray Dangs, aka the Culture Referee. You already knew that, but what you didn't know about, I bet, is a new distribution company called Two Lost Distribution. They're the most technologically advanced distributor in the world. They distribute your music to more stores than any distributor out there, and they only charge you $3 a month. Yep, $3 a month. And they don't charge you any money to collect your royalties, so you get 100% of your royalties. Y'all know how some of them distribution companies be asking for, it's distribute with us, but they take 20%. These guys don't take any of that. They charge $3 a month to distribute all your music. And if you use the code GODS, which is on the bottom of the screen, when you add your discount code, you get 3 months free. So if you're looking for distribution, you need distribution, you're looking for the best distribution company to work with, Two Lost is the fastest growing distribution company out there. Mess with them. Tell them Ray sent you. You're going to get some money off.
Welcome back. We have Dame Ritter with us from Two Lost. So Dame, I don't know much about Two Lost, so I wanted to know, what are some of your artists and that you have with your company?
Oh, that's a good question. The artist that's like really winning.
That's already with Two Lost.
Yeah, so we have a ton of art. So we have over 280,000 artists and labels on the platform.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I know we may not be a familiar name just yet, but we're flying under the radar and we're doing our thing. But I think some of the artists that we brought over recently, we're working with Eric Bellinger. Eric Bellinger's over there. We're doing some work with Anise. Anise had the big hit, the Sun and Moon song. There's a lot. What's interesting about today is like the industry's so fragmented.
Yes.
Right? You may not have a clue of who this particular person is, but then when you look under the hood, there's like 5 million monthly listeners.
But to me, that's the important part of of gathering your super fan. You have artists making 7 figures a year who none of us might know.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the best part about it. Why everybody's worried about of course there are what's the current number of songs uploaded a day? Do you know?
It's somewhere between 60,000 and 100,000.
Okay, I thought it was 100. The last time somebody said it was 175,000.
Sheesh.
It's been 125,000 for a while.
It's growing fast. I mean, whatever the number is, it's huge.
So yeah, okay. So my thing is that the way I looked at the new music industry, here's how the new music industry is compared to the old one. The old music industry was kind of like, let's say it's New York City, right? And every building in New York City represents an artist, right? So Drake might be the Empire State Building, right? Jay might be another building. And, these artists were giants, right? The new music industry is like the Wild Wild West, where everybody's on the ground now. So there's no tall buildings, right? Everybody's on the ground, and they're just kind of setting up their little space and attracting more people. And the more people come, the more money they make to build more space. And they build in these comfortable places for their fan base to exist.
Yeah, there's an artist named CG5 in the nerdcore genre.
Nerdcore, what's that?
I never heard of that before.
Exactly, but they're crushing it, and I'm not at liberty to tell you how much money they're making, but they are crushing it.
Wow.
So nerdcore, I guess, is a genre that it's hip hop, but it's for they're talking about anime and they're talking about things in their world, so it's authentic to them. But yeah, I mean, you look under the hood of some of these artists, and it's just amazing what they've built. Right. I feel like we were kind of like that in a way, to a certain extent, with Funk Volume.
Like, was. To me, y'all was the first. That's why Two Lost was smart for snatching you up, because you guys were the first real artists where it was like, you didn't know Hopsin was, maybe like she might not know who Hobson is, but Hobson built a real core base touring. And there was no disrespect. It was kind of weird hip hop. You know, he had like these cat eyes, contacts in his eye.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like really like, kind of like left of center, really left of center. Yeah. But somehow they attracted an audience that felt like they were that.
Yeah. So when people may not have known who we were, but if they came to a show, you know, they see all these people. And like,
that was me.
Like, how did this get? You know, where did this come from? So I think it's dope that, you know, you have the ability these days to kind of build your community, monetize your community, and because a lot of artists don't want to be recognized. They still want to go to the store. They don't want to be big stars. They just want to do what they love and make good money doing it. Yeah. And a lot of artists are doing it. There's an artist named Nick D, who we just recently brought over to Two Lost, and he's crushing it. He's probably got 4 million, 5 million monthly listeners. I just interviewed him on my podcast, and he's built out his business, and he makes money obviously via streaming, makes a ton of money via streaming, but also has a community on a platform called Grouped, which is similar to like a Patreon. So he's doing like subscription revenue. And because his music streams so well, I'm assuming there's a decent amount of publishing revenue. He doesn't tour, but there's a lot of artists these days that they can just build their business the way they want, right? Like he's a very family oriented, so he doesn't want to be on the road. But if you get to a certain point, you can make your career the way you want to make it so that it suits your lifestyle if you're able to get to that point, right? Coda the Friend also, so Coda's not on Two Lost, but I interviewed him for my Independent Living podcast. He's another one, very family oriented. He travels and tours more than Nick D does, but he definitely doesn't do it as much as the demand exists, right? He could tour a lot more, but he's very family oriented, but he's gotten to a place again where you can kind of just make it fit your lifestyle. You know?
I love that. Let me ask you this. Go ahead, Jack. If you could choose 5 artists that are alive that you would sign to Two Lost and you would want to be like involved with their career, who would they be and why?
Oh man, 5, that's a lot. But I'm an
give me 3. 5 is
I'm an R&B head, and I'm stuck in like the late '90s, early 2000s. My favorite all-time group is Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men.
So yeah, I'm a big Boyz II Men fan. So if there was an opportunity,
to be honest with you, that's the most light-skinned thing you said since you've been on the podcast.
Yo, it is what it is. That if there was an opportunity to work with them in some capacity, that would be dope.
Boyz II Men?
Yeah.
I mean, I can introduce you to Sean. I know those guys, but I'm a Jodeci guy.
Okay. Sure. We can have that debate. We can have that debate on another show. But
I already say.
Nah, and then I went through a big phase where I was a huge DMX fan. So when I was in college, you know, around the time of the Hard Knock Life tour,
I can see you being you look like a DMX fan.
Yeah, DMX. That was my guy. So you know, another friend of mine was a huge. I'm a Jay-Z fan too, but I was more DMX than Jay-Z. And then a third one. You probably give me another light skinned answer, but it's Joe. Joe is another. I'm another.
Joe the singer?
Yeah, Joe the singer.
Usher?
Nah, I was more a fan of Joe for sure. So
Joe is.
Yeah.
Nah, we know Dame is what we call in the South cupcaking. We know Dame was on the phone playing Jodeci in the back, playing Boyz II Men in the background, playing Joe in the background, going in. We already know who you are, bro.
You playing Love Scene?
Yeah, the man. Man, he just got his first album was just amazing to me. So yeah.
So let me ask you this. So 280,000 artists on Two Lost, right? Yep. Great number. The top 5% out of that 280,000, what are they doing differently that the other 95% is not doing?
I think it's really, a lot of it's just going back to that consistency. But the ones that I see really moving, it's consistency and quality. It's consistency and quality. Like it's quality songs that are resonating. There's another artist that I rock with that I recently brought over to Two Lost named Ali Joseph, and you know he doesn't have the social following yet, but he's probably got like 600,000 monthly listeners because the music he's been dropping has really been resonating, and you know the Spotify algorithm has showed him some love, and you know it's just been consistent. So he kind of needs to work on the other side in terms of building his brand and his telling his story, but you know, it's as much as we kind of critique the music these days and say like the music is lacking this and that, there are some artists that have quality music, and I feel like those artists are winning.
Yeah, I think it's the two things that if I tell any artist that if you understand this, you will not lose. I think it's impossible to lose. The first thing is consistency, and the second thing is intent. And I think that, you know, it's like, and I'm a dumb intent down. It's like, okay, cool. If you're a lawyer, you have to dress like a lawyer. I don't care if you are more comfortable in jean shorts and flip flops. You are a lawyer. You need your intent needs to show the world that you are a lawyer, not your comfort zone, but the intent is I'm going to dress like a lawyer because I am a lawyer now. Yeah. So an artist, I think that they forget that there has to be an intent, right? So like when Jay-Z dropped Streets Is Watching, we knew what that was for. That was for the streets. Like it was kind of like, you know what I mean? Like it was intent. I think that, you know, artists are losing because they're trying to appeal to the world rather than being the most intentional version of themselves and allowing the world to come to them. Yeah, kind of is what we doing here on the God Show. It's like I'm not changing who I am for a camera. I'm gonna be myself, and I see people in the comments saying I hate this guy, but that doesn't bother me because I'm just being myself. Right now, imagine if I was just trying to appeal to everyone. I might be in here with a tie one day and, you know, just because I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, but nah, I'm gonna be me. And if you don't, if it, and it might not be for you. Right. And that's what I mean by intent. It's okay if it's not for you. When Jay-Z dropped Empire State of Mind, I don't think he thought that was gonna be his biggest song of his career. It was a song about New York. Right. He probably thought in his mind, this is for New York. But we loved it. And the way it was sung, it wasn't like New York, New York. It was kind of like, it was like Empire State of Mind was kind of like Jay-Z's version of Man of Steel. Like, it's like, how can we call Superman and from the 70s? Like, he got to be a different version of himself. Call him Man of Steel. It's like, how can I do a New York anthem? I can't call it New York because everybody knows the New York anthem of all time is Frank Sinatra, New York, New York. Right. So I'm going to call mine Empire State. Now that's my version of New York, and we all gravitated to it. So I always tell artists, I'm like, you have to be intentional. Every song is not going to be your biggest song, but every song is an opportunity to tell a story, a chapter in your story. And every chapter doesn't have to be the same. It could be like, it could be, here's where I'm from. It could be, here's who I am. It could be, here's how I grew up. It could be, here's where I'm going. It could be so many different narratives in your story that you could tell. Yeah. You just got to tell that through music. And I think artists miss that opportunity. Yeah. Like when I think of the word purple, who you first person you pop in your head? Boom. He made this movie called Purple Rain. He owns the word purple. See how easy that is, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about certain artists, like if I tell you like High Waters and Shiny Socks, you know that's Michael Jackson. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like these artists are not intentionally owning their space. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Me, I hate shades. But I was like, how can I stand out among podcasters? Because even if you don't like me, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that nigga with the shades, I seen him before. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? I got to keep it consistent. Brandon. It's Brandon. I tell everybody, I'm like, there's a million chefs on Instagram and YouTube, right? But there's only one that did this, right? And that little thing differentiated him from everybody else, and he did it consistently to the point where if anybody else does it, you biting him. Right. Yeah. Right. So that's what I mean by intentionally owning a space.
And you planting the seed for potential brand deals.
Another thing.
There you go.
I got, because I'm backed by this company now that I wear. So and I didn't even think I would ever be in Shay's business. You know what I mean? But that's the game.
A lot of artists want brand deals, but they don't understand that it sometimes takes time. You got to plant the seed early so that when you are having conversations with them, maybe a year or two later, like you can go back and say, look, this was authentic. I've been doing this for a couple of years, and it just makes the relationship make that much more sense. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because a lot of artists think that they don't really understand. Well, they understand their story, but they don't know how to put an exclamation point on certain things. They just think it's boring. I don't really have a story. Everybody's a story.
But and not only that, even if the story is where you are. So I love meeting with artists, right? And they play their music, and their music is like, I'm the nigga, get money, fuck bitches, I'm that shit. And that's dope, by the way, that's dope. And then I have a conversation with them and I'm like, so tell me about yourself. And, you know, at first they'd be like, yeah, I'm this. But, you know, as you let them start talking, they start getting real. They start being like, cause man, you don't understand, man, my mama in the hood, bro. My grandma fucked up. I'm trying to save my family right now and all this shit. And I'm like, where's that song?
Yeah.
Because that's everybody's story. I was just in the car with my friend and she was like, I'm trying to get my grandmother and grandfather out the projects. I'm like, we gonna do, that's everybody's story.
Yeah.
And you can be the leader of that storytelling, but we artists like to tell their hero moment. They want to say, let me tell you how I saved the day. But we don't watch Superman to watch him save the day. We watch Superman to watch him overcome things. And then he saves the day in the end.
Yeah.
But he is other shit he dealing with. Lois Lane is tripping on Clark Kent. He's trying to get his shit together with her. He got a job. So, I mean, Superman don't need no goddamn job. He's Superman.
Right.
But he got a job, though, because he has to understand, I have to be Clark Kent. I have to be this. So that's why it works. Artists don't tell their origin story. They only want to tell a superhero story. And I'm like, no wonder nobody fucking with you.
Yeah.
I can name any superhero, and I could tell you, Spider-Man. What happened to Spider-Man? His mother and father was killed. He fell. He was bit by a spider, and he got these superpowers. Batman, mother and father was killed. I could tell you every superhero movie. Superman, he's from planet Krypton. His planet explodes. His family sends him away. His father's name is Jor-El. That's not shit that you need to know.
Yeah.
But if you are a fan, but if I'm trying to make you a fan of them, I know the only way I'm gonna make you relatable is to touch your heart.
Yeah.
And touching your heart is relatable. I think people are stupid.
Yeah.
No, real talk. Because I said something. I did a clip where I said something where I was like, Hollywood doesn't make movies that are relatable. And what I use examples, but I'm also thinking about my audience. So I know everybody black should know who Old Dog is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody black should know who Bishop is, right? Who Doughboy is. Yeah. But then they was like, this nigga's only a hood nigga. He doesn't know other shit. I'm like, bruh, Mufasa was a motherfucking cartoon lion. We all probably still cried when his brother killed him. Right. And we all wanted, it's like, dog, it's about human emotions, bro.
Yeah.
People don't want to feel alone in the world. They just want to feel like somebody's going through it with me. Somebody, like, sometimes people run up on me and they're like, you changed my life. And it's, damn, I'm like, I didn't do anything. Yeah. But I think about how many people changed my life that probably is like, I didn't do anything. I'm like, nah, that shit changed my life. So you got to embrace that superhero energy, but you also got to tell that origin story if you want people to connect with you.
Yeah, I think, and it's not like you sit down and just tell your story in one sitting.
Nah.
Right? It's something that happens over time. Like even some of the people that I follow, I think Toby Nwigwe did an amazing job of just like telling his story over time, because you just follow people and then all of a sudden you realize like how much you know about this person, but it was because of like different bits and pieces they've shared throughout on my timeline. You know, I knew he was Nigerian descent. I knew family was big because he kept showing his wife or his fiance at the time, but and then I knew he was from Texas. You know, I knew he was.
And we knew his color that he was going with, his aesthetic.
Yeah,
we knew it.
I knew he was into football.
Yeah.
You know, so he eventually did some things with sports with ESPN. Like, so you get these bits and pieces, and over time you feel like you just understand like who this person is. And
I don't think people, and I think artists also think that the only thing that matters is the music, and that's where they lose people at. Yeah. Right. So like, I remember when I was working at Warner, and I remember, you guys remember when Sweetie went viral when she was like, ladies, if he ain't buying you a Birkin, he ain't paying all your bills, fuck that nigga. That you get you another nigga. And I remember, I did a couple of Sweetie records, and I remember going to her A&R because I wasn't her A&R. I was just helping. You know, I'm in the company, and I did Best Friend and I did Tap In. Right, those are records that I delivered. So now I'm kind of like, yo, why should I have a record about a Birkin? And they was like, we think that's kind of lame. And I'm like, that's what y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. Meanwhile, you have a Megan Thee Stallion who during interviews would be like, girls, we up, girls, hot girl summer. And was smart enough to make a record called Hot Girl Summer that was a hit for her. Connectivity. Yeah. And I think artists be thinking, all I gotta do is sell my music. The music is the only thing that matter. And it's like, you so fucking stupid if you think the music only thing that matter. You think I like Jay-Z just because it's music? I don't like every Jay-Z song. I don't like every Ye song. I like them. Yeah. I like what they represent. I like what the role that they play. And artists miss that part. They miss the importance of that. So I'll give you an example. I went online one day.
I never drunk coffee. I was about to try coffee for the first time. You see how you laughed? I could have easily just tried it at the house, but I'm thinking like a content creator. So I'm like, this would be funny for you to see my reaction of me drinking coffee for the first time, and I drunk it, and you see my reaction. But here's what people don't know. I had about 4 or 5 coffee brands reach out to me saying, hey, Ray, we would love to give you our coffee. We could do our coffee, just from that one clip. I did a clip about grits. And then I had people reach out to me because my son eats sugar grits for the first time. And I'm like, that's my son. His name is Raymond. I'm looking at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You eat sugar grits? Who the fuck taught you that? And he was like, he looked at me like, what's like, you don't understand how serious that is. It's like you on 2 sides of the grits conversation, right? So I'm looking at him like, you on the motherfucking other side. What's wrong with you, son? So I was like, you know what? Let me eat some. So I taste sugar grits. I record it. I put that out. I have people reaching out to me like, Ray, would you try our products for the first time? That's a whole nother business that I could create.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say? But imagine if I just thought, man, I'm a music industry podcaster and a music guy. Why would I post about me eating grits? What does that have to do with anything? Everybody eats grits. Or the people that do eat grits, and they either eat sugar grits or salt and pepper. It's no one person that eat both. Yeah. And if they are, we look at them like a freak. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How you like both?
Right.
You see what I'm trying to say? So I just think artists would know, like, sometimes if you're a girl and you in the bed with your nigga, like, post that shit. Like, even if it's, this nigga don't believe in me, even if it's whatever, I'm telling him I'm buying my car, like, just give us something to hang on to every day. Every day is a chance. The biggest currency, the biggest talent in today's business, in today's world, is maintaining attention.
But when you really understand, like, the messaging in your story, like, you can hone in on, like, what you should, like, because before maybe you have this all in place, maybe you're throwing out.
Some water?
Yeah. Sure.
By the way, this is black owned.
There you go.
I'm an owner of this water now.
Boom.
I would have never got that if I don't go out and talk on the pod. The guy reached out to me, and now we cut a deal where I'm a owner of this. So I didn't think I was gonna sell water.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? But that's yours, brother.
Appreciate it. Now there's a lot of opportunities out there. You know that you just got to create them. And be intentional about.
That's it.
What you're doing.
That's it.
Yeah.
People are waiting for an opportunity to land in their lap. When they don't understand, they have to create them.
Yeah.
Because it's no opportunity's gonna find you. You gotta create it. You gotta create your own space. You gotta get in there and you gotta fucking do it and explore. And if you do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And now that I'm working with comedians or a comedian, I've just been watching like how just a ton of people move, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of interesting content creation happening. That there's a kid, Mr. Go 30, who does like the reenactments of like highlights after football or sports games. Like, he's hilarious. Like, people are, and again, it's not a money thing. It's a creativity thing. It's a consistency thing. So the excuses just don't hold up.
And it's also paying attention to what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. A lot of people miss that. Like, I started with Funny Marco, right? So I started Marco when he had like 30,000 followers. And when I built him out, like, it was really an experiment. And I had Marco making about 20, 30,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? But it was frustrating because I was treating it like a business and he was treating it like everything mattered to him. So I'll give you an example. Marco has this thing he does where he will run up in people in Walmart and rap lyrics, right? That's how he started, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, we're going to do Lyrical Saturdays. And we're gonna sell that spot. Like, I'm thinking like a TV. Like, we're gonna sell that Saturday for $4,000 a Saturday, right? So that's $12,000 a month, right? But it got to the point where people wanted him to do their songs, but he wanted to do the hotter songs.
Right.
So he's like, man, I really want to do that Meg record. I'm like, well, Rick Ross and Drake just paid us $8K. Like, we got to come with that. And he was like, well, nobody knows that yet. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck what nobody knows. We just made $8,000 because they paid to skip the line. Like, let's just do that. Right. So we did it, but I just think I was too early in that space because I'm not a nigga. I'm not repeating myself.
Right.
I know too much. I'm not going to be the boss and just say this is what we do. I give examples. And my thought with Marco was, I was like, dog, I watched Martin, and when I watched Martin, we really thought Jerome wasn't Martin. Jerome was his own character in our head. Shanae was her own like, we knew it was Martin, obviously, but we really saw them as their own characters.
Right.
So I was like, Marco, you can't just have characters. You got to give them names. So that's when he named the blind man Jeffrey, and he would just be like, does anybody want Jeffrey? And that's when Jeffrey would walk in Walmart, ask you for some shit, and just start punching. Like, that was Jeffrey.
That was fun.
Right? That's all, but this is all shit that we do. I'm like Bluetooth Willie. Like, I created that character. Bluetooth Willie, like, run up on the thing, say something crazy, and then when somebody asks you what you say to them, be like, I'm on my phone. What are you talking about? And I was like, but we was making money from that. So now you want Bluetooth Willie? It's a girl that's like, hey, I got a waist trainer. I'm like, she's like, I got a waist trainer. Can Marco promote it? Sure. Who you want? You want Lyrical Saturday? You want Bluetooth Willie? Who you want? You want Jeffrey? How do you want? She was like, what do you think? And I was like, what if Bluetooth Willie walked up to random women, and was like, you need a waist trainer. And then they was like, what? And he was like, I ain't talking to you, I'm talking on the phone. She sold out waist trainers that day. Point is that we didn't do an ad. Yeah. We did a experiential marketing. That's how I saw it, and it was working. But it's hard to do it with people because people don't believe.
Right.
They really don't. I know the hardest part of our job is making someone believe that they could do it.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, the artist-manager relationship, y'all just got to be on the same page, like understanding what is the end goal, right, and what's going to get us there. And, I guess from a manager standpoint, just understanding kind of what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, and, not pushing the boundary a little bit, but,
What would you say is like the biggest mistake you made as a manager that you would kind of give to some up-and-coming managers, like, to try to avoid?
Yeah, so ultimately my label crashed and burned, and I think ultimately it was going to come to an end because there were just probably some things that weren't it would have came to an end eventually. But one thing that I think I could have done was brought in a second voice that was authoritative but respected, right? Because for the most part, it was me and the artist, right? So no matter what, even if I was right 100% of the time, they're hearing my voice say it all the time. And I know that at some point that's just gonna get annoying, right? Like this person, here comes Dame again. It would have been amazing to bring in a second person that could just, even if they were just parroting what I said, it would have landed better. And I think it would have made...
we don't talk enough about how artists get tired of hearing the same voice.
Yeah.
And they start rejecting that voice. They hate that voice. That voice becomes the reminder that they're not good enough, even though the voice is really trying to help them be better.
Yeah.
But they just looking for the reminder.
Yeah.
Like, I hate you. Like, they hate you when you get on because now they because you could take the credit.
Yeah. So I think if I would have brought in a number two and we were all just on the same page, we would have, and maybe it wouldn't have crashed because ultimately we reached probably 25% of our real potential. So it's unfortunate that it doesn't exist anymore. But that was definitely a lesson that I learned.
What is Hobson doing now?
I believe he's still putting out music. He has the type of fan that's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not growing, right? But those fans are locked in for life. So,
how'd you and Hobson meet?
So Hobson and my little brother went to school together.
Okay.
So in 2008, I was working for Deloitte Consulting. I was a management consultant, and then I got laid off. And then my little brother was going to UC Irvine at the time. He wanted to drop out of school and do music. And then he connected with Hobson. They wanted to start Funk Volume. Hobson was signed to Ruthless Records at the time. So we had to get him out of his deal before we could do our independent thing. But ultimately, that's how we came together.
Yeah, you knew you was going to be independent.
Yeah.
How? Why?
Well, we didn't really have another option. I mean, once we got him out of his deal, we knew we just wanted to kind of do our own thing. I didn't think Ruthless understood what to do with an artist like Hobson, and I was just starting to kind of analyze his fan base and kind of see, it's kind of in the Midwest. Like, this is different, so we need to figure out how to get to these folks and get them to learn more about what we were doing and find more people like this.
Yeah, Hobson always felt to me like, and I'm saying this respectfully as a compliment, Diet Tech 9. Like, it was like, Tech 9 was different. He was in the Midwest. He had this control over this unique crowd. Yeah. And I felt like, to me, that felt like his peak. Yeah. And if you look at the Billboard chart, Billboard Moneymaker charts, or Forbes Moneymaker, Tech 9 is in the top 10 every year.
Yeah.
And he could walk in any mall in America and probably nobody even say nothing to him. Yeah. So I always admire people that can make money with a D2C concept rather than people that, I can't stand people that say they need help. from a label. Man, if a label just pushed me, you was a dummy. You ain't gonna never make it. You better figure out the DDC relationship and really build it. And it's not fun. It's not sexy as it used to be. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not sexy. Wow. But it's way more money in it now. Yeah. And it's way more control. So get control of it and then have fun.
Yeah. No, there definitely was a lot of overlap in the fan base. But we ultimately built the label on social media, and I felt like we kind of like we had an opportunity to like go a lot faster. It took Tech Nine a long time to build his fan base because it was built on touring essentially. So he had to go to a city, there might be 20 people there, and then go back to the city, there might be 100 people there. So we were able to accelerate things because of the internet. We understood the internet like, I think no other label did at the time. So we were able to kind of, like I said, accelerate things. And because I started working with them in 2008, and it became like my full-time job in 2011. So 3 years is kind of quick from going to not knowing anything about the music industry to having a label that's doing well, and we're starting to sign other artists.
Sign out my artists, Jaron Benton signed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
If you had to, so Two Lost, that's your company, your baby, right?
So I don't own it. I don't own it. I'm the director of communications. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you had to create a collaboration with two artists, right? Who would they be, and what type of content would you produce for them?
But again, I don't produce content. So I don't work day to day with artists.
What type of content would they produce together?
What do you think would be most beneficial?
To a collaboration.
If you had two artists.
A collaboration today. Damn, I have no idea.
Who's your two favorite artists?
Well,
now that's out.
That's out.
And if you could collaborate with them to join Two Lost.
So Ollie Joseph already works at Two Lost. So already works with Two Lost.
So there's not anybody out there that you want to have that Suge Knight moment and say, if you're tired of your distribution company taking all your royalties, and tired of your producer taking all your YouTube stuff, you should come to Two Lost. So ain't nobody you want to send that message to. Ace
Hood needs to come to Two Lost.
Ace Hood should come to Two Lost.
I like Ace Hood because
I can connect you with him too.
Ace Hood is a great balance of like hood and like integrity.
Standing on business.
Yeah.
So what type of content would you want him to produce?
What would you? How would you want to take him?
Keep doing what he's doing.
You're just a fan of his.
Yeah,
you want to help
keep
him.
doing what he's doing. Okay. Yeah, because I don't know him, but like I said, I listen to his lyrics.
Yeah.
There's something a little deeper in his stuff than other artists.
He's woke.
Yeah,
he's really woke. He definitely is. He knows who he is. He's a family man.
Family man. Yep.
He was signed to somebody. He played the big system game. Figured out it wasn't working in his favor. Left and built his own thing.
Yeah, I think we can help out Ace Hood for sure.
Okay, cool. I can help you with that.
For sure.
I can help you with that. So, bro, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Anybody here is watching. Last question that I have before we end is, I'm in I don't know, Killeen, Texas. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be in the music business. I registered on Two Lost. I use the Gotch code, which gives you 3 months off. Mm-hmm. How can I contact someone at Two Lost to have some insight or some advantages, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's a lot of people's problem. Like, I can do business with Two Lost because I know you, right? Yeah. But if they don't know you and they're like, man, I want to do business with you, but how do I interact? Like, how does someone, we know how to register with Two Lost, but how do they get involved and have Two Lost help?
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, like we serve a lot of artists, and we can't handhold every artist, right? I would say, and that's one of the reasons why I started our Two Lost office hours session. So I run a session every Monday at 12 o'clock. It's live, it's a Zoom, anybody can join. And I typically have a guest, and we just talk through different things, issues that you're having. And that's an opportunity for people to participate, ask questions, really take the time to learn the business. So I would say tap into those sessions for sure.
I think that we should do one, mm-hmm. a bi-weekly, just like a live.
Yep.
Only for people that are with Two Lost.
Let's do it.
That's what, because I love what you're doing, and I love that you're sharing information, but there has to be, if you're tired of this, then there has to be a come over here with us. And I think that everybody is tired of people talking at them, and I think it'd be advantageous to talk to them.
Yep.
So even if it's like 300 people in there, and 300 out of the 280,000, and they're like, what about this? And answer those questions. And all we have is one condition, like, you know, like you got to be with Two Lost, but just tweet it. Shout out to Two Lost, like, you know what I mean, like for doing that. I think that those type of things are the things that, because no one's helping nobody. Yeah. And obviously there's an appetite for it. That's why you have pods like this that are like huge, but no one is really talking to them. And I think that an advantage that Two Lost can give is to talk to me. Yeah.
But also on the flip side, like, you know, artists today, for the most part, they undervalue education. They don't know they don't understand the value of what you're saying on this platform. You know,
I know they don't.
The access that you're giving to them, the years of experience that you have.
This shit is worth millions of dollars. If you listen, this is worth millions of dollars.
I would have paid, because again, when I jumped into this, I had a business background, but I didn't know shit about the music industry. I would have paid a lot of money to be able to have a weekly conversation with someone like you.
Well, I got to stop you there. I have this thing called the Dreamers Community, where I do weekly Zooms where I coach people in my community on how to win in the music business. They all kind of present their questions. So like, for example, tonight, we're going live, because when I first started, everybody was trying to figure out how to get into the live show space. So I have a good friend of mine coming on to the community today to talk to people about how to book their own shows, build their own shows. So I agree with you. I just think that we don't value education because it doesn't look cool. But I'm not giving you education. I'm giving you edutainment. Right. I'm educating you, but making you laugh. But my community, like, I really am excited about it, because it's like watching these people mind open to information I'm giving them that they didn't even think about. And I'm like, this is what you're gonna do. Do it like this. Stop doing that. Don't do that no more. Do this. And they're all looking like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, leverage me if you have to. So I'm big on that, but people don't value education. And to me, that's the dumbest shit, because it's gonna cost you somehow. She's gonna cost you in the end, and you're gonna be like, fuck, I wish I knew. Every artist I've ever interviewed on the show, I asked them the same question. What would you tell your younger self? You know what they all said?
What's that?
Wait. Understand what you're doing first, and then do it. Remember Joe Budden? He was like, he said, I wouldn't even sign with Def Jam. I would have waited, because I don't understand. But that the concept of getting a check and being one of them is so appealing that you just signing your life away and then figuring out later, but then you don't realize that money goes. Yeah. And then when it does, it's gone. But brother, I just want to thank you first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show, but more importantly, I want to thank you for seeing value in me and the God Show, to the point where you gave me a real endorsement partnership. That shit means a lot to me. Like, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing yet. To be top 20 and not know what you're doing is but it's cool to not know what you're doing, but I don't understand the business the way I'm learning it, and you coming to me still willing to invest. That's why we have the Two Lost sign on the set. That was just me and him freestyling on how can we add added value, and we have it there. So on some black man to black man shit, I appreciate you. Indeed. My brother. And, you know, on some, you know, just get back to the show. Thanks for being a guest. Thanks for being on the God Show. Thanks for being on Artist Spotlight. And get ready for your DMs to be going crazy. Yeah. Because they gonna hit you when I post. They gonna hit you. They gonna come at you, and get ready for it. And let's just send everybody to Two Lost. This is the Artist Spotlight presented by the God Show. We are out. Boom. Intro. So let's do an intro again. Okay. Start it over. I got you.
In 3, 2.
What's up, everyone? It's your K Verde and Mommy Dream.
It's your boy Jack Dance.
And this is Ray Daniels, aka the Culture Referee. And this is the Artist Spotlight presented by the God Show. And today we have a very special guest, someone who I've been knowing for a very long time. He's brilliant, and he decided to come give us some game. So this is the kind of episode where you should take your pen and paper out, or put your phone out and take notes, because My brother Dame Ritter is here to bless y'all with information on how to win in the music business. So everybody give it up for Dame Ritter. Let's welcome Dame. Dame Ritter is also the director of communications for our biggest sponsor, our newest sponsor, Too Lost.
Yes,
so
sir.
we really got to give him a pause because we wouldn't have this without Dame Ritter. All right, cool.
I did good that time. My intro was
I think I
better.
did. That was much better.